What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips where you already know we about to get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button, put your notification bell on all, and get ready for the Collective Clips. You know what we do. Tas, tas, tas. What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate it right here on the Collective Clips. Now, I came across a story that I wanted to speak on. I wanted to talk about, right? Lately, I've been doing videos, super gangs right here on this channel, along with the supers, the Super Norteños, Super Wood Brothers, and all that, right? And this one in particular, I took notice of. There's a lot of 49er fans in the Central Valley, from Fresno, from San Fernando Valley, all the way up to wherever, right? There's a lot of 49er fans. And, the 49ers attire is distinctly red or burgundy. There was a time when it was burgundy for a long time, back when Jeff Garcia was doing what he did, looking, and then they had Elvis Gerback and all that bullshit. But, you'll see a sea of red in Northern California, and it's not necessarily because someone's a northerner or norteño. A lot of the times it could be he's a 49er fan and their colors just happen to be red and gold, right? But don't get it twisted. There are a lot of norteños, northern gang members that do wear the color red and do wear a lot, and I mean a lot of San Francisco 49er attire because it symbolizes where they're from. It lets people know, hey, this is all red all day everywhere, right? Of course, you'll see a lot of Chicago attire. You'll see a lot of Nebraska, UNLV. For those that know, they know. It's just like going to Southern California. You see a lot of Dodgers, a lot of Rams, and it just happens to be, I don't know if the NFL figured it out, the gang things, but it has to be the color blue, right? You'll see, and of course, the Oxnard area, you'll see a lot of Cowboys, for Colonia Chiques, and different neighborhoods represent different things. Now, in Southern California, a certain hat can get you clipped. A certain jersey color or certain jersey can get you clipped just based on every sports team is identified in Southern California with some type of gang, clica, barrio, hood, all that, right? Now, in the city of Fresno, you're going to roll around, you're going to see a lot of Bulldog attire. You're going to see a lot of people wearing Bulldog gear, and that doesn't mean they're Fresno Bulldogs or they're part of that gang. That means they represent and they support the local team, Fresno State University, right? Or maybe they don't. Anyways, man, this is a story about a guy, and I kind of want to let this clip play so you guys could kind of catch up on what's going on, and then we're going to talk about it, right? This is a crazy and a dangerous-looking individual. He was actually an individual transplanted from Los Angeles from barrio Playboys, right, who ended up in Fresno on a bike with a zip gun. Trip out on this.
Fresno killer learned his sentence Thursday, putting an end to a 5-year legal battle. Frank Rojas was just 24 when he died outside his Southwest Fresno home in February 2020. He was with friends celebrating the Niners' trip to the Super Bowl when prosecutors say Daniel Gonzalez approached him. Prosecutors say Gonzalez was a known gang member and thought Rojas's 49ers flag was that of a rival gang. But Gonzalez's attorney says it's no case of mistaken identity and claims Rojas provoked his killer. The judge fired back.
There was no provocation. You rode up on a bicycle. You made gun gestures towards the home. Flagged the person to come out from where he was at, and then shot.
The admonishment comes after a jury convicted Gonzalez of murder and having a firearm. At trial, jurors heard from several witnesses and saw key pieces of evidence, including this zip gun.
It's a homemade gun, and it was made out of just random parts that anybody can find anywhere.
Gonzalez remained quiet as both sides made their final arguments. By his attorney's own admission, Gonzalez hasn't shown any remorse. The judge ultimately sentenced him to 75 years to life in prison.
75 years. This guy was rolling around on a beach cruiser in Fresno as a Southsider, right? Representing where he was from, letting it be known, and he sees these guys. They were having a Super Bowl party. Now, this was the Super Bowl, I believe, when they played Baltimore, or because it was 5 years ago, right? So it's when they played Baltimore. They were having a Super Bowl party, non-gang members, not affiliated, nothing like that, and they actually had a 49er flag hanging from their home. this guy's riding around on a beach cruiser with a zip gun. And for those of you that don't know what a zip gun is, I actually came across one in prison. There was people that were making them, and it's a gun that you can make out of, like the woman said, spare parts or whatever. Not everyone knows how to make them. I can't sit here and tell you I know how to make one. I can't even make a fucking slingshot, nor am I supposed to even own a slingshot, so I don't. But at the same time, there was a lot of people in prison that were making improvised zip guns, and they were used. They were utilized, man. I remember seeing one on the yard, and I was like, what the hell is that? I thought it was a piece. Homie pulled out of his ass, and he's like, oh, I was like, man, I've heard of getting knives pulled out of your ass, but a gun, that's something different, right? How he fit it up there, one never knows does one. That's something you're going to go have to ask Wes Watson. But I'll tell you this guy's cruising around Fresno, beach cruisered up, horns on his head, Playboy tattoos all over him representing his neighborhood when he sees this 49er flag. And he motions, he starts gangbanging. And this is a perfect example of dudes that will get off where they're mad at. They'll get off on anyone because of a color. Now, I know one thing about Mexican gangs. It's never been about colors, but it kind of has been, right? If you think Norteños, you automatically identify them to the color red. Southsiders, the color blue, right? But there's a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of places where, especially in Southern California, it's different. You'll run into Southsiders that actually have red rags and wear the color red because their enemies wear blue. You'll have guys in Northern California, I know in Garden Block, they used to wear the color green, representing Gardones, or even some teal blue, black rags, yellow rags. I've seen it all, okay? And albeit that Mexicans will say, the majority of the raza will say, hey, we're not like Crips or Bloods, homie. We don't color bang or none of that. That's lies. There is some color banging going on, maybe not necessarily all the time, but it does happen. In this guy's case, this guy, Daniel Gonzalez, pulled up. He's seen a 49er flag, so he automatically thought either one, these guys were Bulldogs or Norteños, and he started throwing up gang signs, hand gestures like he was shooting, and cruising back and forth. Now, this probably could have been easily avoided if he just left, right? But this guy was looking for the funk. He was looking for some action, and so when he rolled up, and I've actually talked to someone who was in that area when this happened. I wanted to do a little homework on the case. So what had happened was this dude actually rolled up, started acting like he was shooting and calling people out and disrespecting Norteños, right? Calling them busters and chapetes and things of that nature, which are the typical derogatory term for Northerners, right, that people use, and the enemies, And so he's doing that gangbanging. This guy's trying to explain. The guy, Rojas, right, who was killed, was young. He was only like 24, 25 years old. He came out saying, hey, man, it's not like that. I'm just a 49er fan, bro. We're just having a little get together. We don't want no smoke. And that dude kept calling him out, testing his manhood. What's up, man? Let's go over here to this field. So the shooting didn't directly happen right in front of his home. He lured him into going to a field. And so they went to this little area thinking he was going to catch the fade. And this guy pulls out a crudely made zip gun and shoots him. Okay. Probably thinking he was just going to hurt him or whatever, and then got up out of there. But the guy ultimately succumbed to his wounds. He died. It's crazy the way gangbanging works. And it's crazy because when you see this guy, Daniel Hernandez, right, or whatever his name is, he looks like an older OG gentleman that you would see riding around, tecatoed out, all fucking tatted, riding a beach cruiser around town. Like, no one even trips off dudes like that. They're like, look at that viejo go. Let him go. You're so used to looking out for youngsters with tight pants and funny mullets, right? They're the ones that are putting in the work. But some of the OGs, man, they're not playing. They're really representing. Now, one thing about the neighborhood Playboys that he's from, there's Playboy. The Playboy water has been established in Northern California. I remember the Playboys were running around in Stockton. I just told a story about running into one puppet in Tracy, right? I know my primo, and I'm going to tell you guys a story. I almost got killed by a Playboy. You guys want to hear a crazy story? Trip out on this, right? So my primo is a Southsider. I got two primos that are Southsiders. One of them actually is a founding member of the A-Town Sureños, right, from A-Town. He was involved in all that for facts, right? The other one is his brother. Okay, now, my tia, she didn't marry, but she got with a paisa. She had two sons from him. One of them is a Norteño. The other one chose to be a Southsider like his older brother. Okay, so me and my primos, I've known them since they were little kids. In fact, they lived with me for a little while when my tia was doing bad. Rest in peace to my tia, but here's how that story goes, right? So she had a pad. She had it going on. She was doing her thing. And every time me and my old lady used to argue, I used to go to her pad, right? That was my getaway spot because I know it was family, go kick it, eat good. My tia's house, I the run of the house, do whatever the fuck I want to do, right? And so her son was living with her. And I'm not going to say his name, but he had just started getting into the Southside gang business, right? Like he really started to step it up. And at first I thought he was just trying to play his brother and be like his older brother and whatever, you know, but he really started to get into his own. And what happened was he moved out to Stockton for a while and he started hanging around with a vato called Playboys. Okay. He didn't get jumped into Playboys because he always represented A-Town and Atwater, but he was out there kicking it with them. They're upstaters. And so I didn't know this is what he was getting into. I remember one time, another side note to the true story. We're going to it's all going to come together, right? I was at my pad. And I was going out to throw the trash. And anyone from Merced knows that if you see someone, you're like, hey, where you from? They say the West. That means West Side Merced, right? I was living on the North Side, Loughborough at the time. So I go to throw my trash and this Baltus Ball, Ben Davis, white t-shirt. It could have been North or South. I didn't know, right? He's throwing his trash too. So I see him. He looks like a gang member. So of course I was active at the time. I hit him up, hey, homie, where you from? You know what I mean? As soon as the gates crack, you know I'm taking one. So I was like, where you from? He was like, West Side, the West. Automatically, I assumed he was a homie from the West. I don't know everybody from the West Side, right? So I was like, all right now. So anyways, we about 2 months later, my primo, he was going to continuation school, okay? And what had happened was my tia needed me to go pick him up. So I went to go pick him up. This is the Southsider one that was kicking it with the Playboys. I'm going to tell you how they almost got me, right? So as I pull up, I had the cutty, beating, gold ones. Right? I thought I was cool. Gang member, all flamed up. There's two different continuation schools in the Merced County area as far as Merced. There's one that's for the Northerners, and there's one for the Southsiders from like A-Town, Winton, all those towns. So what happened was, because there was so much shit going on in school, they literally had to segregate the schools, North and South. Yes, that's how much gang violence there was, that they segregated the schools. So all the Northerners went to one continuation school, all the fuck-ups, and all the fuck-up Southsiders went to the other one. Well, my primo went to the fuck-up Southsider one, right? So as I pull up, I'm flamed up. All these little youngsters are looking at me. And my primo comes walking up, and he's like, oh, what's up? Now, he always admired me, had love for me. He didn't give a fuck what gang I was from. I'm his family, right? But he was kind of trying to, hey, he's like, hey, don't wear that hat. The homies are tripping. And I see a dude sitting in a car, right? And he just got in the car, I guess his older brother, whoever was picking him up. And it was the dude who I ran into throwing the trash. And I was like, hey, who's that right there? And he was like, oh, that's the homie from Long Beach, right? I was like, what? Yeah, he's from West Side Longo. What the fuck, right? Even though he was a youngster and I wouldn't have did nothing to him, still, I got played out of pocket. I was like, oh, man, that fool right there, hey, he see me. He didn't bust a grape or nothing. He was just like, what? Now, mind you, I didn't bust a grape either, but I was under the assumption that he was a Northerner. There was no way to miss me. I was all flamed up and all that, right? Whenever I went to go throw the trash. So he knew exactly what I was. He played the role, right? So he didn't have to have no funk with me. I told my primos, next day, I'm getting a phone call from my tia. You got to go pick your stupid cousin up. He got into it. So him and his homeboys jumped the dude at school, right? I didn't tell him to do that, but they did that because he should have got off on that buster, right? But he didn't. Anyways, fast forward. That's the type of primo I had. That's when I knew he was a fucking Southsider in a real way. He was really gangbanging. So I'm at my tia's house, okay? And I'm sleeping. I just got a big old argument with my old lady. You know what I'm saying? She didn't want to give me no pussy. I'm mad. So I'm sleeping at my tia's house, and it's about 2 a.m. And all of a sudden I hear someone coming in the front door. So of course I jump up. No shirt on, got bird on my stomach, whatever. And my primo and his boy walk in from Stockton. He's a Playboy. He's from Playboy, Water Playboys, right? And he walks in. I see my primo, I light a frajo right there in the living room. What's up, Prims? He's like, what's up? And they're counting all kinds of money. Now, I'm not going to get into what they were doing or how they got money, but they're counting all kinds of money. And they're all hyped, all spun out. Lefty gunplay, right? Straight lefty fucking gunplay. They're all fucking counting money, eyes rolling back in their heads. And the dude sees my huelga bird. I get up to go give me a drink of water because this is my tia's pad. I don't give a fuck. She has sons that are Northerners, sons that are Southerners, fucking brothers that are Bulldogs. Like it just is what it is. In my fucking family's house, we don't play that gang shit in the pad. Now, as soon as we go outside, you can get shot, right? But inside is different. So as we're doing my thing, I go to grab a drink. I can hear that dude tell my primo, hey, where's your primo from, man? He said, it's my older primo, man. Don't even trip off him. And as I come walking in, that vato's like, Playboys Sureños. I said, where you from? I said, Merced Norte. And I sit down with my water, take me a big old gulp. I'm like, why? What's up? He was like, hey, homie, you're norteño? I said, yeah, why? Does it hurt your feelings or what's going on? I'm not tripping because I'm not used to at my family's house funk. Like I grew up around this shit, you know? So I'm like, yeah, why, what's up? He was like, yeah, Sid. And he pulled out a thing. And I was like, oh, no. Strike that, reverse it. I don't gangbang. Me no bang, me no bang. Right? So I was like, what are you going to do with that? Right? He was like, yeah, Sid, I don't fuck with you fools, man. It's whatever. My dad comes out, shut the fuck up and put away the gun, stupid. Right? She knows my primo's friend that he's just a J cat all spun out, right? Oh, sorry, Tia, right? I'm like, Tia, that's my Tia, right? So my Tia said, that's my fucking nephew. He's a norteño, so what? We got everyone right here is equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I'll fuck all you guys up. My Tia's crazy. That's Ricky's mom's sister, right? Nuts. So anyways, he kicks back, but I could see he's talking to my primo. My primo's like, nah. And I could hear him, right? He's telling my primo, if you're a Sureño, you'll get him outside. And I said, fuck this. I went to my Tia's room. I said, hey, this fool's going to try to smoke me or something. She said, here, mijo. She gave me a little something. I went back out there, braver than a motherfucker, where he could see it, right? I was like, what's up, homie? He was like, whopping? Hell nah. Anyways, there was a standoff in that OK Corral. But I'm just going to tell you, the interaction with Playboys that I've had, man, every time has been a violent one. You know, it was almost going to go down there. I ran into Bugsy from Playboys when I was in Nellis. He was with the fucking shenanigans in the business. That's actually how I got my name Skinner. See, a lot of people don't understand. I'm going to give you guys some game right here, some knowledge you can't get in college. When I first was gangbanging, I didn't have a placazo. They used to call me Little Lamb, right? I didn't have really a placazo. When I went to juvenile hall on the murder case, although I was very skinny, I was a little skinny kid. The homies used to say, hey, skinny boy. And I used to hate it because there was actually an Asian dude. He was from Oriental Lokes, whose nickname was Skinny Boy, right? Who was there. So every time they used to call me, they'd call him down the tira. They'd get us mixed up. And I didn't know who was talking to who, right? So I didn't like it, but that's what stuck with me. When I went to YA, the homies were calling me Skinny Boy. When I get into Kennedy Hall in Nellis, I ran behind the handball cart with Bugsy from Playboys, right? I had a little fucking, an ice pick shank. And he put his head down and swung, and I hit him in the head, and it skinned his head when he backed up. And then the homies started saying, Skinner, we're going to call you Skinner. You skinned that fool's head. That's how I got that nickname. And that's how that went for years and years and years, and why I was known as Skinner from the West Side Merced Dead End. And then when I went to prison, I kept my my TN was Gunner, and I kept it. And that's the process of that, right? I wasn't ducking and dodging, changing my name to hide. That's just how the game went. Anyways, right? Back to this dude from Playboys. You know, like I said, every interaction I've had, Casper from Playboys knocked me out with a board, and YA. Bugsy from Playboys, we got into a stabbing match. I won. The other one where the dude tried to kill me. So I've always, anytime I've been around Playboys, been some friction, right? But I really respect their vaudeville. One dude that I did run into that I really respected was in Fresno too. And he almost looks like this guy. Could be him. I don't know, man. It was a long time ago. It could be him. It kind of looks like him, right? With the horns and shit. The guy who did this killing with the zip gun, because I had my ex-wife, my ex-wife, my first wife, right? And she had a prima that stayed out there in Fresno. And we pulled up to her pad, right? And I had never met her prima, so she introduces me to her. She's from Merced too, but she lives out there with her old man. Like, what's up? And as soon as I walk in, there's a big old Southsider, horns on his head. That's why I think it might be that vato from Playboys. And it's been years, so I don't even, it kind of looks like him. Anyways, I walk into his pad, and he's like, hey, homie, you play chess? I'm like, hell yeah, right? So we sat down there really looking in each other's eyes, playing chess, wondering who was going to get off first. Ended up being hella cool, drinking hella beer, eating pizza. Wait, pizza, not pizza. Because, you know, when you're at a Southsider's house, you don't have pizza. You have pizza. We had pizza, and that was that, right? But like I said, other than that interaction with the Playboys, it's always been violent. Now, with this dude killing someone over a 49er flag, it's fucked up, man. An innocent bystander that was just trying to enjoy the game gets killed over a color and a sports team. That's the way the shit goes down nowadays, man. You know, when it's gangbanging, it really makes no sense. That's now that I'm older and I took a step back and I'm no longer affiliated or associated with the gangs. A lot of the things that we were doing, that I personally was doing, seemed so fucking idiotic and stupid. You know, that's why no one wanted to be around me. That's why homeboys were telling on me. That's why it was all bad. Like, it was stupid stuff, trying to prove to myself how hard I was. I knew in certain situations I didn't want no smoke, or I knew in situations I did. It baffles my mind and boggles my mind that dudes that are out here like, oh, fool, I'm hardcore. Like, bro, no, you weren't. You know, when that black dude slapped the shit out of you, you wasn't hardcore. Stop it, right? There's just a whole lot of fakery that goes on, man, in it. And don't get it twisted. There are some real gangsters, but I mean, how real can you? Oh, they killed someone, so they're real. There's civilians that do that shit, you know? Anyways, this guy killing someone with a zip gun kind of took my eye. That's why I wanted to do this story. It's not every day you hear about an OG pulling up with a fucking zip gun and handling business. But it happened, man. My condolences to that family. I'm not trying to make light of it. It's unfortunate, man, that this innocent man had to die. And this other guy, he got exactly what he had coming to him. 75 fucking years he's going to sit in prison, all because he wanted to gangbang on the wrong person. Let me know what you think, man, if you have any comments. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people, man. We got to stop this gang shit.